was a drive way back. It might be. It could be. It is. Holy cow. Welcome to another broadcast of Bricks Behind the Ivy.
Hey, Cub fans, welcome to another episode of Bricks Behind the Ivy. Thank you so much to our awesome sponsors, Wrigleyville Sports, the best sports store in Wrigleyville, and Yagi Road Roasting Company, based in Valparaiso, Indiana, serving cups of coffee just as special as the moments you drink them in. Here's your hosts, Jeff Candid Cubs Rogowskis and Pat Erickson. Hey, Cub fans.
Wow.
Welcome to Bricks Behind the Lively, as we are live tonight post a super exciting walk-off victory by our beloved Cubbies and everybody's favorite baseball player, Mr. Justin Turner, delivering in the clutch. Pat, how the hell are you doing after such an exciting end to that game?
Time.
Yeah, crack that bad boy open. I'm going to join you as well, except I'm going to have some root beer because I'm a square.
Buddy. Wow.
That was
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Excuse me. What a game, though. I mean, I thought that long ball was going to bite us, from Stowers and Norby earlier on. But this right here, and Jeff, you and I have been talking about this even since the preseason, and it's coming to fruition now. The perseverance and tenacity of this ball club with the never give up and always go to the very last out is showing. And tonight, my goodness, what an unbelievable ending. It was funny. You had Bruhan running like a man possessed, Nico running around screaming already, knowing that the run was going to score. I mean, that ball couldn't have been hitting a perfect spot by Turner. So all around, big ball game. Good job.
I mean, it's nuts. We just had, and if you haven't listened to it yet, we just had Mr. Cole Wright on this week's Bricks Behind the Ivy doing a 25% of the season. It was 23%, as I say, as my nerd alert in the middle of the episode. It just reviewing the Cubs, and we had mentioned in that episode that we hadn't seen an extra base hit from Justin Turner yet.
Right.
And here's the episode that I'm talking about. Justin Turner obviously getting a lot of flack. He's a guy that, when you see people behind the fastball and stuff, and you look at his bat speed and such as, ranking, among the worst in baseball. He's 40 years old, which, I mean, good for him, like being able to continue to do this at 40.
Oh, absolutely.
But the guy has not been what we wanted. It's been, mildly frustrating situation for Cub fans to watch him play. And, you got to think that Ballesteros gets the call because they didn't want to give a ton of run to Justin Turner, the DH, and, have an option. And here he comes in late in this game to play third base and delivers a big hit. What an awesome moment. I love when, veterans produce like that. It's just, what they can do for the team, what they do for the squad. It's so awesome.
You're leading by example. And this is what they always teach. I mean, they teach you that lessons in life, but you're leading by example. You can be a great leader in the clubhouse and talk a good game and everything else. But with this team, they're also taking that and they're showing it on the field. They're showing these young kids and the fans and everybody else in Cub Nation of how it's done. And I mean, it's been awesome. And speaking of blast from the past, my watch just went off. Here's another blast from the past. Javi Baez had 2 homers tonight and just blasted a 3-run to beat the Red Sox in the 11th. So Good to see old Javi getting a little bit of the magic back. But yeah, what a game tonight. They've been playing a lot of small ball, the get on, get around, get in. But tonight it definitely paid off, and let's just keep this train rolling.
Yeah, I think honestly that this game had a very similar feeling, and it's a weird comparison, but it had a similar feeling to some of those White Sox games last year where they went down, necessarily go down on Monday night, and they weren't getting their butts whipped tonight, but the offense didn't come out swinging. They didn't look great versus pitching that isn't on the top end of the tier, not one that you're looking at that that person that you're facing, that you're not shaking in your boots. But I mean,
Right.
that's kind of been the story of the Cubs offense in May. It just has not been the same productive group, but Kyle Tucker has, gone through a little bit of a cold stretch this month.
Yeah.
Happ obviously being hurt. Seiya Suzuki had a pretty tough stretch. And they're still putting together ball games and missing starters. It's just the resilience of this 2025 Chicago Cubs squad, is something definitely to be admired. So let's do some housekeeping before we kind of talk about
out.
what we wanted to talk about tonight. This is going to be kind of a quasi reaction and like regular Bricks Behind the Ivy episode. But if you are watching us, wherever you're watching us, first of all, thank you for spending this late evening. I'm sure you're kind of running on that adrenaline. I always, after a win like that, that's probably the hardest thing for me is to go to sleep, because I'm like super.
Oh, no, I'm gonna be up for a while.
Yeah, and I'm gonna watch that play like 3 or 4 more times. Okay, 3 or 400 more times, and I'm gonna watch the post game and not tonight. Tonight, hopefully, you're watching us instead of our boy Cole Wright over on Marquee. But and then I'm gonna.
That's what I mean, DVRs, people. DVR it. Watch us back later.
And at the end of the day, it's. Tough losses are the same way. So maybe it's just like during baseball season, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I always am trying to consume stuff.
Absolutely.
Since this is a late night episode, we're gonna do a shout out to our friends over at Yagi Road Roasting Company in Valparaiso. 3 alumni from Valparaiso University, go Beacons, my alma mater, started a coffee company so that they could roast coffee just as special as the moments you drink them in. Hopefully, at some point this year, we will get them to partner with us on a Bricks Behind the Ivy roast. So make sure you're using the link in the description of this podcast if you're listening tomorrow, or on our YouTube page, and order coffee from them. It's great coffee. I've got a bag right here. It's got something for everything. This is their decaf roast, which is actually quite delicious for someone who can't have as much caffeine. Myself, I just am a natural stimulant over here, and then also
I love it.
They've got some espresso and some dark roasts and some light roasts. They got everything you're looking for. But cool. Make sure to check it out. And also want to shout out to our friends over at Wrigleyville Sports, who are probably raking in some dough, as usually after a win. I like to celebrate by buying some Cubs gear. They are the best Cubs merchandise store in Wrigleyville, started in 1990. Make sure you go there for their quick custom jerseys. So thank you so much for sponsoring our show. But let's dive in. Let's do a little bit of game recap, since that's what we're here for. And if you have, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. And even
get
some
down
comments.
there.
If you are on YouTube or on some of our social platforms and you're leaving comments, we can put them up on the screen, get you on the show. We're here to answer your questions, interact with you. That's what we're here. We're a Cubs podcast for Cub fans, by Cub fans. We're here for you. You're the ones who make this super fun. So make sure you're interacting with us wherever you're watching tonight. And we've got some comments over on Instagram. If you guys were on YouTube, I could post them on the screen, but got some colorful commentary that we're not going to say, as we're going to try to keep this a family show, but let's go,
brother.
And some folks are saying Dor Bagozo said that his voice is never, or her voice is never, going to recover from the end of this game. But nice to see. Thanks for watching over on Instagram, and nice to see everyone's excited. So let's talk about this game tonight. I wanted to kind of bring some points together, and you can bring some stuff as well. Ben Brown was on the bump. We had Moises Ballesteros. It was Mexican Heritage Night at the ballpark. Lots of energy around the team tonight. Everybody's excited. This feels a lot like 2015, when we're getting little nuggets, little surprises from the farm system every few weeks. And the latest one is Moises Ballesteros. And we've been hearing about this kid for a number of years, and his advanced back. By getting called up. He's the youngest player to debut this season, and he's the third youngest player in the majors currently. The only ones currently is a group of very talented Jacksons, Jackson Holiday over at the Orioles, and Jackson Churio from the lovely Brew Crew. Ben Brown. What did you think of Ben Brown tonight? Did you like what you saw?
Well, I mean, here's the deal. I first looked at statistics. I think your mathness and your math nerdness is starting to rub off on me now. I got to go right to the.
It's kind of like when you go to Vegas, like what you get in Vegas, you bring it home.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
like herpes, it's everywhere.
I looked at his line, and I mean, honestly, his line's not bad. It's 5 1/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 6 Ks, and he did give up the 1 home run because Merriweather gave up the 1 to Norby. So on that's pretty good start, borderline quality start. The thing that I love though is with him. And the thing that I don't like is a lot of times he wasn't, how can I put this, dominant throughout. It's almost like he went through, and I know a lot of major league pitchers will go through this, but it's ebbs and flows. It's almost like he would sit back and he would just, aim. And then when it's, oh gosh, I got to turn it on with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, or they're threatening to score more runs, then he turns it on. I would like to see him keep that throughout his outing. Other than that, I mean, he made some pretty decent pitches. Shockingly enough, I think home plate umpire actually called a pretty decent game, unlike last night's, which I think Stevie Wonder was behind home plate, but that's for another. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of how I thought. I mean, I thought it was a decent outing. It's exactly what we need. These are the kind of outings that we need, because with showed it down, steal down. I mean, I heard a stat on the score earlier today, and I couldn't believe this. It's May 13th, and the Cubs have already used 23 different pitchers. So, I mean, that's a lot in a short amount of time. So basically what Ben Brown did tonight is what we need to do. That's what Colin Ray's doing. That's what Matthew Boyd's doing. And who knows what's going to happen if Jordan Wicks is going to end up doing it, et cetera. So that's what I think. Jeff, what do you think? What about his outing?
Yeah, I generally was impressed with the approach here, and I'm sure it's part of the amazing game planning from friend of the pod Tyler Sombro, Tommy Hotovy, and the rest of the gang over there. Taking a look at this Marlins offense, they're not anything that is really going to make you shake in your boots. Similar to their pitching staff, they're a young team. They've got some pieces. They're trying to kind of rebuild on the fly. They didn't really spend a lot of money this offseason, maybe no money this offseason. Just
it's apparent too.
They're one of the few teams really that's like truly not trying in Major League Baseball. But yeah, he pounded the zone, which is something that I really wanted to see, because he has been prone to walks, and then when he walks guys, like, he tends to be in the middle of the plate and can get pretty hard. Hit hard. But I think tonight what I did like that there was a lot of pitches in the zone rate was pretty high. His velo early in the game, Setup Man had pointed this out, he's in, Cole Wright and I talked about it as well on that episode, that he's really struggled at home. He has not been able to kind of lock it in early in the games. I'm sure some of it is probably just being amped up. Like, he comes out of that pen, he's at Wrigley Field, it's a big crowd. The guy's a fastball pitcher, and if he's not locating that fastball, then that curveball, that his knuckle curve, his plus pitch, is just not really getting where it needs to be, and it's not going to get those whiffs. Like, he only had 7 whiffs tonight, which is it's not terrible, but all of them are on the knuckle curve. So like, to me, the conversation continues to be around Ben Brown is, does he need a third pitch? Boog Sciambi has mentioned this. I've started looking into this a little bit. It really is about, like, he needs fastball command consistently. He's not getting swing and miss from the fastball right now. Not sure if a third pitch could help with the deception there, especially if maybe that is a changeup, keep the hitters guessing. But the fact that he is being as successful as he is with just 2 pitches is pretty impressive. And I know a lot of people like to try to kind of point to, like, Justin Steele. Justin Steele's not a 2-pitch pitcher. He's a guy who, like, uses his pitches and kind of manipulates the grips and the speeds. So it's not truly 2 pitches, where, like, Ben Brown is 2 pitches. Like, that is like, it's not like up for debate. And at this time, like last year, his fastball was grading on a run value at +4, and this year he's breaking even on his fastball, and he's actually at -3 on his curveball. So there really needs to be a little bit of an adjustment there. And there needs to be more swing and miss. But I mean, this is a step in the right direction. Like, pound the zone versus a team that can't slug, make them hit you. And he did that tonight. And I wish he would have gotten out of the 6th inning, and we wouldn't have needed to go to the bullpen, which I felt, considering I would say was the B squad tonight in the bullpen. They were really damn solid.
They did good. I mean, besides Merriweather giving up the dong, I mean, they did actually, pretty doggone good, and the other good thing with Brown tonight is him getting having a decent outing at home. He's been struggling at home this year. He's been dynamite on the road, but at home this year, not so much, so it was good. I mean, this is obviously, until we get Shota back, this is the life we're going to have to lead. This is what we're going to have to deal with, is that this starters getting plugged in here and there. I mean, who knows if Pomerantz is even going to start a game, but yeah, I mean, I agree. And I do agree with the point too, that you made about maybe a third pitch just being a deceiving pitch to kind of throw him off a little bit. And that could be the case. I don't know if Javi's going to look into doing something like that, but we'll see. We'll see. Oh, and by the way, Nick, I saw your comment. You can get Jeff's lovely hat right there and all your Cub needs at Wrigleyville Sports. Look no further. Stop by today. Maybe I'll have to take you down there, buddy. Here we go.
Yeah, I think, hello to the heir apparent to the Erickson clan, Mr. Nick Erickson. Thanks for plugging in. I know you've been our our research team on other episodes, so thanks for your support all the way down for the University of Georgia. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. There you go.
I hope you're studying. I won't tell your dad if you're not.
No, he's actually home. He's done for the year. He's already home. So if you want, you'll be able to tune in and see him over at the Kane County Cougars this summer. So come on out to the ballpark. Heck, I'm even working there. So
there you go.
Oh, God help us all. But yeah. I do like this stat right here from Rogue Wave Creative. A 500 batting average when facing runners in scoring position. That's pretty good. I mean, that's what we're going to need for him to do, because he's going to get plugged into pinch hitting situations like this. And he needs to keep producing like that. So yeah, that's a good stat, Rogue.
Yeah. And as he said, fun when baseball is silly.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Baseball is silly, and I love baseball because it's silly. And I've been trying to kind of, instill that into my son, who showed some mild interest in baseball for the first time. He took about a 40-second break from Pokemon and got him to watch the Cub game for about 50 seconds. So I'm going to take that as a small win, but
that's a W. Yep.
Yeah, he was looking at the numbers on the screen, and he was looking, and then he saw the Google ad where it talks about the home run going farther if it was 95 degrees out, and he got actually really into that. And I was trying to explain it. It was like, hey man, this is why I'm here. This is my buy-in for this stuff. All the numbers, absolutely. That's why I picked the jobs that I have picked in my life. This is why I love this sport, and probably why I'm undiagnosed on the spectrum. But it's at the end of the day,
that makes two of us, buddy.
There's, at the end of the day, there's just so many things that you could look into, and all these things determine, everyone, just being a fraction off, and there's physics, there's everything you can really dig into, and that's what makes it great. And he's like, wow, cool. And then he moved on to the next thing. So I'll take the wow, cool.
Hey, that's a W in my book. That is a W. And he gets longer and longer and longer before he'll be hooked on it. So yeah, that's awesome. Good to hear.
So I wanted to take a look. I made a tweet this evening that I'm going to say was, a little off base, claiming that Julian Merriweather was still a part of the circle of trust. I don't think that's the case. He has not been great this season.
No, he has not.
He has looked pretty poor. He's not getting the strikeouts that the Cubs would like to see from him. His last 3 outings, he's had 4 walks and 6 earned runs, and he's not really striking guys out. Something's wrong there. He's not gonna be someone that I want in a pressure situation for a while now. But on the opposite side of that coin, let's give props to I want to give props tonight to Ryan Presley and Caleb Thielbar, because I also made a tweet earlier this year, and this is why baseball is funny. Thielbar had just given up a ton of runs. I believe it was either the Arizona series or one of the early year just awful fall apart losses late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was the Arizona series at Wrigley or the Arizona series in Arizona. we could really take a pick. There were two games like that, but he was just nails. He comes in and threw absolute dirty curveballs to Stowers.
Yeah.
He was really feeling it. As I'm going to drop that joke again. The dad jokes are free here at Bricks Behind the Ivy, and and I also want to point out too, I'm not gonna sit here and say Ryan Presley has been an amazing part of this Cubs bullpen. He set a major league record that you don't want to set in his last appearance.
No, that one still stings. Yeah.
However, I will give him credit tonight that he came in and made this game a game. He struck out a guy in his one appearance and his one batter, and kept this game bases loaded. It could have fallen apart, kept this game at 4-2. We're not talking about a walk-off win here if he comes in and has been the Ryan Presley we've seen all year. So it's nice to see he just got nibbled on a ball just outside in the outside corner on a curveball slider, and then threw a high-end fastball to strike out. I can't recall what batter it was, but it was nice to see, it's those little moments that, especially for bullpen guys, it's not necessarily about the numbers, but a moment like that, and you stack them together, he could really become, something. So
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Not saying he's going to be closer again, but
but it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, he's going to need to be a functional part of this bullpen if the Cubs are going to go anywhere in the short term.
It's going to be all hands on deck all season long. Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah.
So let's break down real quickly just the end of that game, just to relive it, and then we'll move on topics.
Sure.
I loved the beginning that you got Xavier Edwards playing shortstop, and he boots that ball, and my first thought is, man, we are in business. And I thought we were setting up just a super exciting moment of we were going to get Moises Ballesteros. He's going to hit this walk-off home run and live in Cubs infamy, but it just wasn't meant to be. And then we get Nico Horner, the birthday boy.
Birthday shout out, happy 28th, buddy. There you go.
Exactly. And which makes me feel weirdly old. And then Justin Turner, just the punching bag. We've got two Cub punching bags tonight that really stepped up, which is it's really just, to me, what makes baseball beautiful, because you're gonna sit here and if it was Vidal Brujan up there, Justin Turner, I'm sitting there and we're screwed. That would mentally, that's where I'm at. But it could be anyone's day, anyone's moment, any day. And here we are, Justin Turner's first extra base hit of the season. You got Nico basically laughing and smiling, turning that corner at third base, scoring the winning run, and the Cubs walk off and win and clinch this series already in what is a very important 21 game stretch versus teams that are under 500. This
is what we need to do. We need to keep winning series. If you keep winning series, we're going to be all right. That's exactly what needs to keep on happening. Yes, it's a lower tiered team, but listen to an interview with Ian Happ earlier today on The Score, and he was even saying, they're a lower tier team, but it's still baseball. They're still professionals. They're still going out there every day. Their record might not show it and everything else, but you know what? They worked their butt off to get to the major league level, so you got to treat them as such. And that's what we need to keep doing. We need to keep winning series after series after series in order to stay ahead of the curve. I mean, you got Cardinals streaming up pretty quick. The Brewers are not going to go away. So, but that was a great series win. Great job all around. It was good to see, just tenacity, like I said before, and let's go out and get them tomorrow. They haven't even really announced, or they just did, who the starters are going to be for tomorrow's game. But, hey, let's keep at it. It's going to be warmer tomorrow, and maybe the ball will be flying out a little bit better.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to have I think now it's Weathers and Jameson Taillon tomorrow, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. So like that should be interesting. I wonder if Ballesteros will get that DH slot with the lefty. Yeah, he looked a little punchy. I think that's a great transition to our next
Mhm.
segment. Let's react to Moises Ballesteros' debut. We've been hyping this kid up, like as a Cub fan group for a while. People have been banging down the
Mhm.
door for him as soon as like parts of last year when the offense fell apart towards the back end of the year. So what did we see? What is your thoughts on like the early vibe and how he handled tonight? And what are your expectations? What do you think he's going to bring to the table?
Well, here's the thing. The first thing that I was happy to see, I mean, granted, he was, 0 for Tuesday, but what I like to see, though, is that he got bat on the ball, period. He didn't go down swinging. He didn't, stand there with the bat on his shoulders, looking at a called strike 3. He attacked the ball. The 2 grounders out of the 3 were actually hit pretty decently. It was good plays that they had in the infield. I was impressed. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of jitters, there's a lot of nerves going into his first game. As far as going forward is concerned, I think he's gonna be. I don't know if he's gonna be necessarily ready to stay. I think this might have been a call up reaction to Ian Happ going on the DL retroactive and then Happ said today on the score that he's probably going to be coming back Tuesday. So who knows how long Moises is going to stick around. I do think he's going to be a good power hitter eventually. I do think he's going to fit that DH role perfectly because obviously you could tell he does not have the wheels to run the base. But I think he's going to be a good DH, and I think this is going to be something that's going to take time, and to not rush it, and sometimes, honestly, and Jeff, this too, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, sometimes we'll have guys, Chris Bryant will come up and all of a sudden he'll start going crazy and he's there for good. But then the other side of that, you got a guy like Matt Mervis who ends up getting dealt and he's hitting below the Mendoza line over in Miami. So it's hit or miss. Like I said, I do think though that he is going to be a good fit for the DH of the future. It's just Cub fans, we got to be patient with this kid. We really, really do. He's a young kid. Yeah, he's hitting the cover off the ball in AAA, but it's a whole different ball game, as everybody knows, once you get up north. So yeah, that's what I think. Jeff, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. I understand why he's here. I had posed, some commentary earlier in the day. Just he wasn't on the 40 man. And I was not aware that Tyson Miller was going to be placed on the 60 IL, which opened the slot on the 40 man without having to cut anyone. And, I think, on one hand, like I feel like this Cubs front office has always been kind of hesitant to cut players if they don't need to cut players, especially since we're sitting here in early May. But like they're also like the Kyle Tucker trade is an indication, the commentary about them being aggressive and really serious about winning, like calling up Ballesteros is we're serious about winning. Like we see this important moment, this later part of the schedule, and we need a bat, especially if Ian Happ is going to miss some time. Obliques can be, kind of challenging in regards to recovery time. So yeah, I think I appreciate that. He was hitting just otherworldly at AAA, 420 on base percentage, 932 OPS. It just he had nothing left to prove there, and really it's the walk rate too. He had walked 12 times, only struck out 16 times. It was until this past week he had more walks than strikeouts. So about 10% walk rate, 10% K rate. So this guy is like succeeded everywhere he went. Yeah, it's a small sample size. He didn't really hit the bejesus out of the ball tonight, and he had some opportunities, and maybe the moment got too big, and he needs to understand like who he is and find his pace at this game. But yeah, I mean, he didn't strike out. He didn't look foolish at the dish. Maybe he swung and made contact. He seems to be able to make really good contact at pitches that he didn't necessarily need to swing at. So I don't have a ton of expectations. Unless he really starts rolling, I don't see a world where he stays up here if Happ comes back and is healthy. I think this is a really nice cup of coffee, and hopefully, if there's an opportunity, these are one of those situations where it's like it's fun, but You know, I'd rather have Ian Happ right now based on, you know, what he brings to this lineup. I'm not loving PCA at leadoff. Like, it's especially in front of like Kyle Tucker. Like, Kyle Tucker is a power hitter. Like, you don't want PCA running in front of Tucker and like distracting Tucker from doing his thing. And he's a lefty, and it's just it's just the whole situation doesn't work well. Where like Pepper is, you know, taking a bunch of pitches, getting on base, like really setting Tucker up and what he's going to see. But I thought we'd play a little fun comparison to some of the players from the last core as we're sitting here and just talking about how certain players from the core, I only pulled 3 of them, did in their debuts, just to kind of set. And I did this before the game just to see. I'm like, all right, well, these guys went on to have really good Cub careers, but their debut games either were really good or really bad. And what did it indicate in that moment? And the answer is nothing. It doesn't mean anything. Because it's one game. We're gonna start with Chris Bryant. This was April 17th, 2015. I was at this game. I took off of work. I got tickets. I went to this game. Super excited. And he was 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. And I think there was I was tracking at one point in 2015 when I still had season tickets when I went to the game. Like, Bryant had gone hitless in like 25 at bats with
he was struggling
with like 20 strikeouts in the games that I attended, and like I was so excited to see this guy play, and I just never saw him succeed. And he was doing all the good stuff when I wasn't there. But I mean, like, obviously he went on to win the Rookie of the Year, and then the next
he did
year,
all right.
The MVP. Like, he went on to be fine. Obviously, he's going through a tough moment, which sucks to see, you know, right now. But I'm gonna quiz you on this one and see if you recall his debut. Javier Baez debuted in 2014. Do you remember who he was facing?
Oh gosh, I am drawing a blank.
That was the Rockies. He was promoted. Went out to Colorado. Back when they were doing a lot of those like road, like Theo was really into debuting rookies on the road. Like, that was his,
that was his thing.
Like that. Like, no one ever debuted at Wrigley. And he had an interesting debut. And the game ended in an interesting way. It was August 15th of 2014. He was 1 for 6 in that game because the Cubs ended up winning on a game-winning home run that he hit in the 12th inning. His one hit was a home run. It was the game winner. It was an opposite field at Coors. So pretty cool, but 1 for 6, 3 Ks. Not exactly like, you know, busting the door down, but exactly what we expected Baez to be. He was striking out a lot, but he had a ton of power and athleticism. So he brought it. The last one I've got is the one that got away, the one that still annoys the crap out of me every time it comes up. Kyle Schwarber.
Schwarbino. All right. Former Cape County Cougar himself.
Yeah, letting go Kyle Schwarber for $8 million is one of the dumbest things this organization.
Yeah.
Like,
that just still stings. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on a 45 game on base streak as of recently. Just like it would have been great in this lineup. Like, lefty power, gets on base. But I digress. I did not recall this. I do remember him debuting on the road. For some reason, I thought it was Cincinnati. I was correct on Ohio. He debuted versus the Indians. Well, then Indians, now Guardians, and it was June 18th of 2015. So, in the span of 2 months, we got Chris Bryant and Kyle Schwarber in 2015. Which, this season, like, it's starting in a weird way, starting to feel like 2015. You know, these guys, getting called up and getting their cups of coffee, and but you know, at the end of the day, he was 2 for 4, and he had a ding dong in that game, and he had a really nice set of games in Cleveland, and he kind of ended up sticking with the roster a little bit more than I think they expected, and they started having conversations about his positional fit, and which led to him having a little bit of a transformation and having him try to play outfield in 2016, which led to him crashing into Dexter Fowler, destroying his knee, and coming back as the Schwarbino in the Great 16 World Series, and where it finally happened. But yeah, like I said, what does this mean? What do these debuts mean? And what does Moises Ballesteros 0 for 4 debut mean? Absolutely nothing. Because
Yeah.
These guys have had thousands of at bats since and have put together, pretty solid careers. And once your first
We
game
got to
is
be
out of the
patient.
way, yeah,
Yep.
we know nothing. Like you don't really know anything about a player until like 200 at bats, and at that
Tell ya.
point, like they try to make adjustments.
Yep.
I have one more question for you
Talk to
from
me.
a fan of the show. What are the best mozzarella sticks?
Well, Brandon, you know doggone well with the best mozzarella sticks. That'd be fourth base up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yeah, it's over by those dreaded Brewers, but yep, you got to go over there. I know, but you got to go over there. CJ does a great job. Our friend Joe won't pay for them, but yeah, I mean, they're great. They're great mozzarella sticks. So thanks for the shout out there, Brandon. Go back to work. Otherwise, your dad's going to kill you. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we've got the Bricks and Ivy over on Instagram talking about high vibes as well, which is awesome to see.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's enough for Ballesteros. We'll see what he is. We'll see how
Yeah.
often he plays.
Patience, patience, patience.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we'll hope that he gets healthy, but or Ian Happ gets healthy, and maybe he forces the issue for the Cubs, but. Yeah, I think we kind of talked about preparing some as usual Bricks Behind the IV. We have our Wrigleyville Sports pitcher and hitter of the week.
Yes.
And I believe you were the pitcher.
Yes.
Okay, good, because I did the hitter and like this is gonna get
no, I'm just kidding.
it's gonna get super awkward. So
No.
obviously we didn't have our regular Bricks Behind the Ivy episode, so this is for this past week and that we're looking at. I looked a little bit further back because we had skipped one, as a lot of people who've watched the show for a while or listened to the show. I got laid off in February and I started my new big boy job a week ago, so I just had big boy responsibilities. So we had to take a week off so I could learn to be a big boy again. And then
but all is well though. That's good.
Like really, it's just I couldn't sacrifice watching Cub games like to do the podcast while I was adjusting my job. So it's like, sorry guys, like I really want to watch these games, but like I have to adult today. Which like everybody's got to adult at some point. Maybe
That's
I don't know.
it.
I'll let you know when I start adulting.
I still have it. Trust me.
Yeah. Who is your pitcher of I guess the weeks? Given
all right. So I'll be honest with you. Originally, I was going to go with Mr. Matthew Boyd, and it wouldn't have been a bad selection because he has been lights out. He's been a good stopgap for the injuries, the injury plague that's been hitting the Cubs. But then I watched last night's game. And I watched what Colin Ray did and what he's been doing. So I am going to we're firing up the sirens right now. Colin Ray is going to be my pick for pitcher of the week. There were some good quotes post game last night. Craig Counsell came up there. He's like, hey, he's not flashy or overpowering, but he's very effective. And that's exactly what the Cubs need right now. I mean, would it be great to get a guy to just go in there and just start mowing guys down? Absolutely. But we need guys that'll fill the stop gaps from the injury bug. And that's exactly what Colin Ray's been doing. When he, last night, he was 6 2/3, 6 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks. Again, not flashy, but it was effective. And Dansby, amidst all the things that he was doing in last night's ball game that were positive, he made it a point to make sure that he told about Colin Ray. He's been huge for all of us, and he's a true professional. And that's exactly what we need. He's got a 7-pitch arsenal that he's been working really good. He's got 29 strikeouts and 36 in the third innings pitched. He's 3-0 on the year with a 2.48 ERA. He's 38% better than the league average right now. He's basically been everything that we've needed, and like I said, you couldn't have gone wrong if I would have said Matthew Boyd or anything else like that. But this was a surprise. I remember talking with my son when they picked him up. We're like, who? The guy from Milwaukee? But he's been lights out for us, and that's why I went ahead and I chose Colin Ray as pitchers of the week.
No, I think it's a great pick, and I would encourage folks who listen to this show to hop on to Northside territory with Sahadev Sharma and Patrick Mooney. they have a great episode that came out today about Moises Ballesteros and some of the thought process around that. But they had a nugget in there that was really interesting about Colin Ray and just how successful he's been. And he had taken a tip from short tenured Cub Wade Miley about moving his to
journeyman,
to the end of the rubber, and really has used that to kind of redefine how he throws at the plate. He's been able to, trust a little bit more of his glove side movement, getting in on lefties, and really place his fastball. And it's been, a game changer. And they think it's like the Cubs like pitching group feels like this is sustainable. So I'm not doing it enough justice. Like, check out that podcast. Not going to regurgitate something, that they did so well, but it was super interesting just hearing about that. And really, it's really cool when you hear about, baseball players helping each other out and, those types of things. And there seems to be a lot of that kind of collaboration with this Cubs group internally, which, guys going to like Kyle Tucker and like PCA and say, looking to Tucker and like trying to mold their games after, like, how he puts together game plans like that. Those are the types of things like that, don't stick out necessarily immediately on the stat sheet, but are so huge for a team. I think the hitter of the week, I feel like just like with my weird TikTok bragginess, Instagram real bragginess of, I told you so, like, don't give up on my boy. It's really going to give away who I'm picking here. And that is Lieutenant Dansby. Because he gives offense legs, Lieutenant Dansby. He has
the
been
pride of Atlanta, Georgia, right there. Go Dogs! Absolutely.
I think that'd be a really cool thing for him to go back to Atlanta as an all-star this year, because the game's in Atlanta at the Braves' new ballpark. I think he's a hometown boy. It'd be really cool if like he continues to have these numbers. He's gonna be a dad this year. Congratulations to Mailer and Dansby. I'm sure they're big fans of Bricks Behind the Ivy.
All the time.
And they listen all the time, so they're gonna get this congratulations. But congratulations to Mailer and Dansby on
absolutely
their growing family. It's such an exciting time, and
that kid's probably getting scouted by colleges already, and it hasn't even been born yet.
He just got his first NIL offer, and it's already like $6 million.
Absolutely.
But Dansby, and I was looking just in the last 2 weeks, 13 games, 5 home runs, 9 RBIs, walk rate up to 10%, K rate down to 20%. So walk rate up, K rate down. That's not something we've really seen from Dansby in some of his hotter stretches. His slugging is at 800 with a 480 on base. It's a 255 weighted runs created plus in the last 2 weeks. The guy is unconscious, and like I had him as my pick to click tonight in the pregame on Twitter, and I'm a pick to click yesterday. He hit the home run. If there was a guy on the mound throwing a cutter, pick Dansby Swanson. If you look at his baseball savant page, and like he is historically just leveled cutters, like that's his favorite pitch. If you're gonna go, like if you're gonna see a sinker guy on the mound, sinker slider especially, like don't bet anything on Dansby Swanson. That is a pitch he continues to struggle with, but cutters, like that is his his forte. And he's just been, I'm hoping like some of this walk rate, some of the swing selection, I hope it's here to stay, and that it kind of really levels off Dansby, because Rogue Wig Creative, I see you, and we're gonna put you up here. He is, when he is hot, he is hot. He has historically been a very, very streaky hitter. But he does have defense, it raises the floor. And this is something I tweeted last night that, I gained some traction, I think Club 120, friends of the show, Neil over there was old Bricks Behind the Ivy guy. They were talking about giving like Jed Hoyer his flowers, and maybe it's like time to potentially discuss like getting Jed Hoyer an extension. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, because like what he has done for this team, this moment, this is the farm system he's put together. A lot of these guys are the people that he has put on this roster. He went and traded and got Kyle Tucker. Dansby, he had picked, obviously, like folks point out, to his contract being the cheapest of that group, which is fine. If that's where you want to land, like, good for you. You can land there. But
Yep.
at the end of the day, he's been leading that circuit. There's 4 free agent shortstops that offseason, 4 of them. It was Bogarts, Trey Turner, Carlos Correa, and then Dansby. And Dansby was the one that was picked. And he, like, if the Cubs really thought they needed to solidify shortstop, and you look at the numbers in the last since 2020, 2022, the start of the 2023 season after they started, just by WAR, Dansby Swanson's at 10.3, Trey Turner 7.5, Xander Bogaerts 5.9, and Carlos Correa 5.3. So like his defensive floor makes him so valuable. And when
absolutely.
his offense is even mildly okay, like he is the bell of that class. So we can talk about contract size and all that. Like I honestly could give 2 less of a craps about that because the market is what the market is. Like that's what everybody was offering these guys. They got him on the best terms. Yeah. They got him on the best terms of all those guys, and he's producing like the best out of all those guys. So
hands down.
Shout out to Jed Hoyer for watching literally every one of his defensive plays on his computer during like COVID times to really hone in on this guy being the guy he wanted. And I made the point to someone earlier today that we don't appreciate Dansby defensively because he makes things. It's like how PCA like is made center field boring in such a fun way. Like there's so many plays
he makes it look routine, just like Dansby.
Yeah,
absolutely,
exactly. Both those guys. So like it won't be until some of these guys leave that you're gonna go, holy crap, that guy was really good. It's like Anthony Rizzo at first base. Like good first baseman. You don't celebrate because you don't really notice them. But like you really notice a bad one. Like that's like you really notice a bad one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting, but let's circle back on the point that I was making there, and a shout out to Cub 120 and their show, and bring this kind of onto my radar. Do you think Jed Hoyer is entering a extension conversation, this being his walk year?
Well, I mean, the proof is going to be in the pudding. I mean, obviously, I think first and foremost, right now it's looking good just based upon the performance and the product that's on the field right now. He really can't, at this point, seem like he can do no wrong. He has been able to plug some holes where needed. He's been able to rebuild and restaff up and rebulk up the minor league system to where I believe we're in the top 10 again. But I think it's, like I said, I think it's going to be 2 things. One, it's going to be performance on the field if we can keep this. And 2, and this, again, this is just my opinion, it's all going to depend if Kyle Tucker gets re-signed. And I think that if he does not get a contract and or PCA get the contracts needed, then it's going to look bad for Ricketts and it's going to look bad for Hoyer. And that's just the nature of the beast. That's just how the chopping block goes. But if I was a gambling man right now, I would say yes. I don't think it's going to be as long of an extension as some Cub fans and some, people think. But I do think he still has a lot to offer. I think he's still diligently working every day to try to keep plugging those holes. I hope to God he's looking for another starter, hopefully to acquire by the trade deadline, if not sooner. But yeah, I think so, but it's going to be the proofs in the pudding on the field. And if we get Tucker to re-sign, that's my opinion. If both of those things happen, no brainer, but we just don't know. Obviously, I mean, it's May 13th, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I sit too. I think, make the playoffs, get Kyle Tucker. I think there's, God, I hate that. I promised we wouldn't talk about money or ownership issues once baseball games were there to talk about. But like, I think there might be other factors at play on whether or not Jed Hoyer is able to land Kyle Tucker, and like that is irritating. That's I know there's been some rumblings of like David Kaplan and some connected sources saying that the Cubs are willing to go wherever it takes, whatever it takes to get Kyle Tucker. And then there's the non-tampering of the Dodgers already licking their lips and saying that they're going to do whatever it takes if he makes free agency.
They're waiting.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it makes sense. I know a lot of people are gonna like sit and bang the drums. Like, yeah, the Dodgers have a ludicrous roster, but if you look at their payroll and how Shohei Ohtani's contract is structured, he's making nickels for the next few
It's
years. It's
deferred.
all deferred. But like,
Mhm.
yes, there is the money that is penalized for like how the CBT is calculated. It's calculated by AAV. So the tax is what they're paying as the penalty on that AAV.
Right.
However, like for actual liquid money, they do have a lot of room. They do have room, and they make billions of dollars, not billions, but they make close to $1 billion in that TV deal. They're making a ton of revenue by selling tickets. I believe that there's been numbers floated of like $50 to $60 million in just ad revenue for Shohei Ohtani. Like they are a money making machine, and if you're not turning all that money into product on the field and maximizing your Shohei Ohtani window, then you're not doing it right. That's what they need to do. Like and look at all the money they spent this offseason to shore up that team. And you got Blake Snell, like it's unsure when he's going to start pitching. Like they've got some staff injuries. Roki Sasaki's velocity is down, and they're saying it's not an injury, but like when guys' velocity is down like 7-8 miles per hour, what is it then? There's Yamamoto's looked amazing this year. I believe he's still a sub 1 or a 1 ERA. But like they still have problems. They still have injuries, just like every other baseball team.
Right.
They're just when their injuries are, it's a star player going down because their whole team is freaking star players.
No, it's top to bottom. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this progresses. And I'm curious, like, does a Kyle Tucker extension? And this will be the last question tonight. Does a Kyle Tucker extension happen first and then you extend Jed Hoyer, or do you extend Jed Hoyer because you know he can get you want him to get the Kyle Tucker extension?
I think it's going to be Tucker first. Honestly, I really do, because of one, if you get that done, then it's because of all the hard work of Jed. Jed will be rewarded. Two, it's all about a budget. It's all about allocating funds. And when you allocate whatever dollar amount it's going to be to Tucker, then you'll be able to figure out, all right, what are we going to pay Jed? You know what I mean? And it's dollars and cents. Ricketts has shown time and time again that he's all about the dollars and cents and the whole breaking even. And I don't even want to go into that, but it's all about the budget, and it's all about what we're going to do. And that's why I think personally, it's going to be, let's get Tucker on the books. Who knows if it's going to be then PCA, then Jed, or if it's going to be Jed, then PCA. Who knows how that's going to go? But I think it's going to be Tucker. Then you're looking at Jed for an extension.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's a weird moment. It's a tough moment.
It is.
They have some decisions to make, but let's focus on the positive right now.
Talk to me.
The Chicago Cubs won another game this evening. They won it with a Justin Turner walk-off. I do have some, I guess, leftover. I had promised on Sunday's episode, I had done a contest over on Instagram, guessing, Cade Horton's first line in the majors, and the closest person was going to win a Brooks by the Ivy t-shirt and a bag of Yagi Road Roasting Company coffee, and I was going to announce that live on our episode on Sunday. Obviously, we ended up doing we got Cole Wright reined in to do that episode, so I wanted to put that out as quick as possible, and we're doing the live show tonight. So I'm taking a look right now. I need to look at Cade Horton's box score from his debut, and look.
I've got it if you want. I mean,
what is it?
4 innings. He had the win. 4 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts, a WHIP of 1.0.
Okay, I thought it was 4 innings, 5 strikeouts, and then it was it 3 earned runs?
Yes, it was 3 earned runs.
All right, hold on. We've got 3 innings. You said 5 strikeouts?
Yeah.
This is awkward. Mine's the closest. I had 4 innings, 4 Ks.
Wow. All right, what's the second?
Let's see. We got 5 Ks, 1 earned, 3.
See, folks, this is why you tune into Bricks Behind the Ivy, because we know what we're doing, or at least we pretend to.
All right, here we go. This one, I like this one. It was 4 innings, 2 earned runs, 4 Ks, or
Okay.
4.2 innings, 5 Ks, and 2 earned runs. So, what do you think? Do you think we go 4.2 and 4 Ks, or 4.2, 5 Ks, and 2 earned runs?
I go the second one.
Yeah, that's what I'm at. Ryan McVeely, congratulations.
Hey!
You are the winner of the Bricks Behind the Ivy Cade Horton line contest. I'm going to put a little note on the Instagrammies that you won. So make sure you get a hold of us, send us a direct message on and make sure you listen to Bricks Behind the Ivy. In order for you to win and to make sure you listen to this, you have to go onto YouTube and comment on this video. Make sure you're subscribed and say #winner. Thanks for the shirt and coffee, Bricks Behind the Ivy. You're the best. If I don't see that on YouTube, you're not getting a freaking shirt and you're not getting coffee. So
Come on,
so there
now.
we are. Come on down.
It's like Gary McGuire. Help me, help you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you have your assignment. Come over here, do the thing, and you get coffee from Yagi Road Roasting, which is freaking delicious. And you get a Bricks Behind the Ivy t-shirt that is going to have this beautiful logo on it. You're welcome. And Pat, I think we're gonna, as I like to end these shows in a hostage situation, we're gonna let the nice people go. Do you have any final thoughts for the folks before they go?
No, let's keep this train rolling. And I tell you what, guess who's coming to the north side?
The White Sox.
It's interesting. I don't want to have this conversation now because I said we were gonna go, but I think it'd be an interesting thing to talk about this weekend is, should we care about Cubs White Sox anymore?
Oh, you know what? I do. It doesn't matter of how bad or good
I do too, because I'm from the South Side. I've got my butt whooped for being a Cubs fan my whole life. So this was the Super Bowl, but should either team be surprised of their just feudal history? Should they be proud running out the 3 World Series championships we have each? It's 2 of them being 85 and 104 years apart. No, I don't think we should be sitting out there and being proud. We should hold our ownership to a higher standard. But that's for
my theory is 2 things. One, and I know all my fans or all my friends who are White Sox fans are going to love this. I hope we kick the snot out of them in all 3 games. Number 1, number 2. When it's Cubs, Sox, there's some good people watching in the stands.
That's true.
There's some very good fights. So stay tuned. You'll probably be able to hop on YouTube and just type Cubs Sox fight 2025.
Yeah,
and they're going to be all
I think you got that right. There are good people watching, and then there's good people watching. So there's both those things. But this has been another episode of Bricks Behind the Ivy, brought to you by Wrigleyville Sports and Yagi Road Roasting. We will see you guys this weekend. We'll be recording Sunday, and you can listen to us every Monday. Good night and go Cubs.
Go Cubbies!